Today we're going to learn about color. Most of you probably already know a lot, but practice is important. You might want to actually get some tips for your makeup ideas. Recently I learned about complementary colors using for your makeup, for your eyes, that can emphasize the depth and the brightness of the eye color. What is color? Have you ever realized that color is it is actually, it refers to reflected light, blue and red, I will get violet. These are called secondary colors, secondary, so it's the ones that are in between. And then when we mix primary and secondary, we get the third tone, the third color, which you see in between, the ones that don't have letters. There is also a way to say analog colors and complementary colors. Here, there's two that we haven't covered yet. So, analog colors or analogous colors are the ones that are next to each other in the color wheel. Blue, blue-green, green. And complementary colors, they are the directly across from each other and the color on the color wheel. Blue and orange, red and green, violet and yellow. Now I'm going to make it so we're going to look at this interactive color wheel. I want you, each one of us, I want to try press on a color. But first it's like a little game. First you will need to tell me if you remember what color you want to learn about or you want to talk about for a few minutes. It's going to talk about means just to read from what we will see. So I want you to start from getting, let's say, what is your favorite color? And you say, what do you think this color is? And then we will see, then you have to press it. Like, for example, I'm going to give you an example. My favorite color is orange. So I'm going to press on the orange. And what do we know about it? It's a secondary color. Yeah, you see on the left it says what type, secondary. It's considered a warm color. There is a complementary color that is blue. We see also that analog colors are red, orange. I want you to start from mixing primaries together, then you will get your green, and I want you to work with these. I want you to try and mix these, okay? So if I want if I pick this one and this one, I want to mix all of this. Or you can do the same and pick others and you want to mix all of this, okay? So choose the colors you want to mix, get your paper and work with mixing them. One more thing, when you do it, you don't need to make it big, yeah? You can just work on the palm size of your paper, just a few colors together, make a mix and show it to me. And if you're working with acrylic paint, don't use too much water, okay? And if you're working with watercolor, you use a little bit more water, but not too much as well. So don't make puddles or it will never dry, okay? So let's move to the exercise. We are starting now. I'm going to give you about 3 to 4 minutes and I'm going to use a timer. When you hear the timer, it's time to finish, okay? All right, and now we can move on to our part 2, color values. So what is color value? This is what I already showed you a little bit in the interacting wheel. It refers to the darkness or lightness of a color. So here is our color wheel for color values. And here you can see something maybe different from the images that we've seen before. Can anybody tell me what looks different in this image? This is one, and also, did you notice that they look like drops, like they have volume? Yeah, like little glossy balls. What helps us to do that is actually color value. So it's very important when we paint later on to remember that volume is also created by doing all of this, color value. And in every drop of color, you can see that it moves from the highlight, from the top part. Let's say this would be a highlight. And then it kind of goes into the darkest of the color. So, when neutral colors are mixed with colors on the color wheel, the value or intensity of the color is affected. Who remembers neutral colors? I've mentioned them when I showed you the black and white blank paper where was the color wheel was empty. Yes, Lisa.
So the neutral colors are white, black, gray, and brown?
Yes, very good. Neutral. White, black, gray, brown. Yes. So, these are the neutral ones. So, when we mix them, the color is affected. So, there are also tints. That this is how the color is affected. When we are adding lighter color, lighter value of color, we creating a tint. Here we have an example of a dark blue, or it's called ultramarine blue, mixing with white, we get the other tint. Yes, it's a blue. It's a tint of blue, but it's a different. It looks like a totally different color in some ways, especially if you do fashion or if you do makeup. These little differences make a huge impact on how you will look, right? Or how the piece will look. So there are also shades for you not to mix them up. This is the difference between tint and shade. The shades are darker value of color and are created by adding black to a color. For easier remembering is shade becomes a dark. Yeah, if you are standing in the sunny street, you will see your shadow. It's darker, it falls on the ground and it becomes a darker silhouette of you or an object. So shade, shadow, shade, dark, so it's the dark and the tint is light. Okay, each color hue when mixed with white or black can produce a full range of value. So value is basically this. It's all of this color transition into almost no color. This will be called value. We will practice that today. Every color can also have intensity. This one is adjusted by adding grays. When Lisa said about neutrals, grays is one of them. So when we add gray, we are lowering down the intensity. In some ways, you can see what happens here. The blue almost becomes purple sometimes. It's an interesting effect that can happen. And now we're going to do another practice, which I want you to try and make a little marks for yourself. You don't need to draw squares, but I want you to do a complementary scheme where you will pick two colors that you find most attractive when they complement each other. Remember, they're opposite on the color wheel. I want you to do analogs, but actually no, analogs we already did, so we skip that, and we skip the complementary. So I want you to choose two colors, make them complementary. So this is the task number 1. Add them together. You can choose several and make a few mixes together. Yeah, like this. You put red and what complements red. You can choose blue, what complements blue. For this, I'm going to turn back to the color wheel so you can make this with your eyes. You can remember how they complement. Again, complements are the opposite of each other. Doesn't matter if it's secondary, if it's primary, tertiary, it doesn't matter. You find a color, you go opposite, and that's where you will find your complementary scheme. This is okay. All right. Did I do okay? And then I will show you one more exercise for today. So I want you to look at complementaries. Let's go back. So here is our color scheme. I want you to find complementaries, several, make them 5, as many as you want, and make them next to each other. Put them next to each other, and I want you to make sure they are connected like this, okay? This is important. Make sure they're connected, because you will I will give you one more thing to see after you've done this, okay? So you will have a square. That's where the colors will be not merging. They will just meet each other on the border. And then I want you to see how these colors will work with white. So you will see that this section here, the colors look brighter when they are placed next to each other. And here you will see the visual effect of the color not looking so bright. Okay? And I want you to separate those. All right, let's do the exercise, and then we will, and then we will move on. I already see some exercises in a group. Charlotte, okay, yes, very good, Charlotte. I see. Oh, you mix them. No, what I need you to do is just to paint them next to each other. Yeah, like this. Let's say I want to take red, and I want to take green. Let's take this green.
Okay.
And do just this. And then that's what you will see. How here they're much brighter than when we just see them next to the whites. Just for you to see. If you are done, you can raise your hand. When you can see that when the colors are juxtaposed to each other. Do you know the word to juxtapose? Have you ever heard of this word before? Anyone? Juxtapose. Do you know anybody? No, haven't heard?
No.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. Juxtapose is placing next to each other. This is exactly what we do. We juxtapose colors next to each other. Here we have it. So juxtapose is to put side by side anything. Okay, it can be anything placed side by side. Let's make it orange. This is going to be our example. I can't move it. Okay. Here. To put side by side. Juxtapose. Okay, and the next task that I want us to do. Can you see this paper in front of you or no? Can you see that? This, can you see this or no? Okay, go to the chat and you will see there is another paper that was showing that the task. I want you to mix now hue, shades and tints. So what I want you to do is the last task for today before I let you know next things. So I'm gonna draw for you. Here it's not visible. All right, so what I want you to do is you will have another scale on your paper. You choose the hue, choose any color, and then we will go into tints and shades. So tints we mix with white, yeah. Shades we mix with black. So you choose a color here and you start mixing it towards the right, where here, let's say in the end, will be the lightest. And then this way, almost to the black. You gradually add more and more. So you mix first, let's say you mix some white and you mix some red. And you get one mix, okay? And then you keep adding, you take this mix and you put it onto your palette, like onto your line over here. So it gets a gradation, just like we saw here, okay? Here, so we take a color and we start adding. So let's say here we take orange, we start adding whites, we see what happens, and then we start adding blacks gradually and we see what happens. Is the task clear to everybody? Yeah? Okay, so we do the task. This will be the last one for today.